In order to consider the tree of life, the old Kabbalists draw it upon a background, and they make a background of the absolute, which cannot be rendered, and so they have to do it by negations. And it's quite interesting. They have three veils. These are like the backdrop on the stage when you're going to have a play. You have three veils, and these veils exist and in the unthinkable, and yet it indicates that which is and is beyond us, that is the source of our whole tree of life, that condenses as Kether. And something feeds in there from the unmanifest into the very first top of the tree of life. Kether is a whirling in of intent and a whirling out of attention and action. And it's this wind up model of our universe that draws from the absolute. And although these seems like abstractions, and since we can't think of them, why do we attend to them at all? Take heed, O student of the mysteries. The three veils of the absolute indicate the source of the energy that is in harmony with the will of God, your true will, with our beingness. Life is unfolding in all of us, and it's about to have a springtime, it seems, or so many of us are incarnated at once, and so much stress to see if we can light up that heart love that conquers all of the confusion, and that we put the mentally deficient and hurtful priests, politicians, and policemen, and whatever is necessary, that we learn to act and live as a family on this wonderful planet Earth that we have live, that we, since if you believe in reincarnation, which I do, and you're going to be coming back to this earth, so doing something in your life to make it still a nice place when you get back is worthwhile. It's all of us living the truth within us. It's going to embody and bring forth all of these transformations that have been intuited by many as this coming of the age of brotherhood, or something, Aquarius. We have many intimations of a transformation that can take place in consciousness. And the point I'm making for our first lesson is that before we consider the tree of life, we must look at the veils, those things which stand behind the tree, and give it a perspective, a room, a meaning. So in order to define what the veils are, the Kabbalists have developed three names, each one being a composite of the last ones. So the first one is the Ain, or Ain, spelled Aleph, Yod, Nun, the final form, since it's at the end of the word. Ain means no, not, also not in A-U-G-H-T, and without. And it means without attributes. You can't ascribe anything to it and be accurate. So the first letter is a negation of anything. So when they're trying to describe what the absolute is in terms of our alphabet, they start out with the letter which means nothing at all. And the word ein, no, not, without, indicates that the first veil of the absolute consists of ein, this no, not, without, which means it is not anything. The first thing that there is that it is not. So there is not an it. The nature of whatever that unthing it may be, it's not an it. So it's without attributes. So that's where you put your mind first. Why these abstractions? These open up the well springs of life that will feed both your own alchemical furnace and do so much good. These will connect you with the source of life itself, so that if you can draw from above the tree down into your personal works, then you are doing God's work in the old language. You are performing the great work, the theurgy, where God enters in and does its will, his and her will, through your being. So abstractions, ein, no, not, without. So the first veil of the absolute is a definition that whatever it is not anything that we can name. It is not, or it is or just not is, or not. No, without. So meditating upon these abstractions, certain abstractions open mental spaces hitherto unknown. As we reach into the veils of the Absolute, spend this time before our next lesson meditating on the nature of Ein. I will provide graphics and letters, and use all your knowledge of what the letters mean. Aleph, the Fool and the Tarot, the life breath, the spirit, Pneuma, Spiritus. Oh, there's so many names of the life breath. So the first letter of the no thing, of the not the first veil of the Absolute, starts out with a letter that defines that it's not. It's a nine. How do you say a word that negates? I guess. And the next letter, Yod. Yod, that little sweet dropping curve in you. It's so nice. It's like a candle flame. And Yod is the open hand. It's like God's blessing coming down from above. It's the candle flame. It's the fire. It's the spark of spirit in it. It's the force that burns in our generative activities. It's the force that burns in our head with creative ideas and connections with the infinite. It's libido, if you're in psychology. It's ode, or life force from various other traditions. So the Yod force permeates all of existence, and every letter of the alphabet has a Yod in it. If you look at the old Chaldean alphabet associated with the Tarot keys, you will see that each of them has a Yod in it. And scholars of Hebrew often don't know that. When you tell them and show them, they are one wonder. It's a lovely thing. So the second thing, there's nothing, and then there's a fire, a little candle flame, a spark. So within this not, there's a spark that takes place. And then the final letter, Nun means to fish, and as a verb it means to sprout, to grow, to come forth. So here is the first veil of the Absolute. It begins with the negation of anything that can be named. Within that a spark takes place, a fire, the hand of God, the touch from heaven to earth takes place, and then sprouting up, growing forth and fruitful to multiply is the meaning of fish. A single pair of codfish, if all their babies survive, would probably fill the Atlantic Ocean. They're extremely prolific in the generative area, so they're a symbol of fertility. So Ein, the Nun, the final letter, refers to the generative organs. It rules Scorpio, which rules that part of the body. And so the first veil of the Absolute, Ein, starts with Aleph. No, not without is the name of the veil. Aleph, the life breath. Yod, the spark, the candle flame. And Nun, the fish, or to sprout as a seed. And think what that sequence means. I'm giving you the challenge of not just considering a letter in a Tarot key, but 3 letters as a word. What's being spoken with Aleph, the life breath, Yod, the candle flame, the divine phallus, and Nun, the sprout that comes up and grows and brings forth. That is our first veil of the Absolute, and that is of your central nature. What's behind all of this that you can conceive of with your mind is that, and aligning with that, the Ein and Ein's, the whole limitless light that we shall study. Behind that is the nature of your own being, that connection to the divine principle, that meeting of your angel that the alchemist longs for. Spend time with Ein, and spend a little meditation of what each letter, and look up your associations, look at the alchemical and the astrological and numerological and color and sound, and look with all of the tools that you have learned, associating, that's this sign, so Ain, that's Aleph, that's life breath, that's the Uranus in astrology, and Yod is Virgo, the intestines, and Nun is the generative organs. So, wow. There's so many references to play with. Use them in your mind and spell this word to yourself and have your own enlightenments instead of listening to stories of mine. If anything, in teaching a course of lessons, what I would like and wish for you is that you will take these principles and use them to mine your own realizations so that you get it in a way that partakes of the ageless wisdom and brings it forth in a new form through your consciousness, which renews the stream. Because this is our work with this wonderful inner school and path of return. We dip in meditation on the same symbols that people have used in their quest for knowledge and enlightenment for ages, in the very language of our subconscious mind. Looking upon the same tools and allows us to abstract into the same mental spaces of the people that gotten really high with this material before. And I highly advise that you take time with basic principles, like the spelling of the name of a letter. If it's Aleph, then it's A-L-P-H, A-L, Aleph, Lamed, Pei, and then look at that and think to yourself, what does that say? What does that mean? Here is a principle of the ageless wisdom. Certain and quite a few of the old three-letter roots of Hebrew words are self-defining. So, Ain, what is it saying with Aleph, Yod, Nun? The divine life breath, that spark in the middle, and the generative growth at the end. That is the kernel, the before the Big Bang part of your and our true being is Ain. So attend to it and open yourself to the existence of that, and what will flow forth into you is the mana that is sought by the seeker, the inner nourishment, the connection, the reason for going on, the certainty of one's own immortality, and some sense of a role that you're playing in the cosmic drama that we're living together. So happy meditation on Ain. I know this seems kind of abstract for studying the tree, but believe me, this is what condenses into Kether and makes the tree. So let's look at the three veils first. Lesson 1 is Ain.